What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the local sets report here in St. Louis, Missouri. I, of course, am Brad, the mayor of Lorcana and co-host of the Rules of Villainy podcast. This video series, however, is a series in which I go through the latest and greatest in Disney Lorcana decks that are winning here in St. Louis. Of course, right now we are in the Fabled Set Championship season. So these are the 7 decks that I have for you this week. And let me tell you, just ahead of time, we are in an amethyst steel world and we didn't even know it. Everybody was afraid of Blurple this entire set, and Blurple is very, very good. It just won DLC Bologna, but you're not going to find any on this list. In fact, I went back and looked for the last few weeks that I've been doing these in the Fabled Set Championships, and I haven't recorded a single Blurple win here in the St. Louis area here in the Midwest. So kind of sad as a Blurple player myself, but the boogeyman here at least is Amethyst Steel. Like I said, we have 5 of the 7 are Amethyst Steel decks, and we're going to get into them right now. So let's do it. All right, kicking things off by way of Andy at Bodach Games. We got Amethyst Steel with the first deck of the week. Going through here, we look at the 1-drops. We see Diablo and Hook are generally the 8 of that we see in a lot of these decks. He is favoring the Palace Guard, the 1/4 that kind of sticks around. It is an illusion, but I don't think you're using a lot of removal spells to get rid of that quickly. So he sticks around until you have enough power on board to challenge into him. That's kind of a flexible slot that we've seen in the past with Rafiki, or even Happy to have some synergy with Dumbo being evasive on turn. But going through the rest of the list, the few things that stand out from the norm that we've been seeing with this deck are Raja on 2, the overstated card, 3 Quest for 1 on 2, because he's an illusion. Again, he's risking that removal, just taking it out immediately with the fire, the cannons, the strength, or whatever actions the other deck is running. But yeah, this looks pretty standard. Yelana on set turn 3 is something that comes in and out of these decks as well. He's only running 3 docks, which we touched on last week, and I did like it because they did have magical maneuvers in the deck. He's not running that on this one. And he's only choosing one of the 2-cost evasive on turns in the Jafar to synergize with that Dumbo as well. But he comes out as a 3/2 and threatens the opposing Dumbo that could be out there. But everything else, you got the instant lore from the Cobra, you got the instant lore from the Rose. Genie's evasive on turn, the Genie draw with Wish Fulfilled, and that dreaded Yzma that's popping up in all these decks and finding success because she just turns sideways and draws you probably 3 cards. And if you're up against a Blurple deck whose hard removal is just putting things into your equal, you're probably turning that Yzma sideways if they haven't dealt with her yet, getting 3 cards, and possibly playing all 3 of them. It's just a swarmy deck that is so good, and really happy for Andy getting it done. Congratulations to you. All right, moving on to our second deck of the week, all the way out in Olney, Illinois, 2 hours outside of St. Louis, the home of the White Squirrels. Dan got it done with Amethyst Steel at Galactic Games. Another Amethyst Steel, of course, here. Looking at the 1-drops, we see the Rafiki favored here. Everything else is about the same. He took out the Yelanas and replaced them with the Jafar. Aspiring Ruler does the same thing, puts Challenger 2 on turn. He's a 3/2 and Quest for 2. And he's valuing probably the strength on that Jafar more than the Yelana, who only comes out with 2. But other than that, everything on here looks the same. The one thing that stood out that I'm not used to seeing is the 4 of Madam Mim, Tiny Adversary. We've seen her popping up here a lot, quite a bit, and former villain of the week here at the Rules of Villainy podcast. But 4 of in there means that Dan values that challenger. And I actually played against a Madam Mim deck, Amethyst Steel, of course, here in St. Louis this past week, where 2 of them were on board, and it was just annoying to deal with because they never turned sideways. But other than that, everything else on here looks the same. I don't think Andy was running the Pete's that Dan has here. It looks like we're running 3 Pete's here to prevent opposing players from using actions on a turn when that Pete comes out. Always valuable there. Former villain of the week himself. But yeah, congratulations to Dan, and shout out to Tom for going all the way out there to Olney and checking out this store and bringing it to my attention, because I'm more than happy to feature stores like this that I don't know about, and in the area, and hosting Disney Lorcana and having, I think, a field of 15 or 16 is what he told me, and said it was a great time, and he actually got this really fun second place playmat there at the very end. So just a awesome extra prize there provided by Galactic Games. So shout out to Tom. Congratulations to Dan, and hope to see more of you in the future. All right, moving back to this side of the river at O'Fallon, Missouri at Manticore Game Shop. Rules of Villainy Zones. Jon got it done with Emerald Sapphire. This is a deck that's looked like a lot of fun to me since the set drop, but I have not got to play it. I've played against it, had a lot of fun. I'm happy to see that Jon only went half diabolical by not including Bend to My Will, which makes you discard your entire hand, but he is running the Heads Held High Under the Sea combo, which is enough to basically take any opposing board and put it at the bottom of their deck. Looking at the play line here, we have Bobby Zaborowski and Clarabelle on one. Clarabelle is a great tool to get rid of the Emerald Chromacon that's been plaguing the Chroma Dogs decks lately, so you get extra value out of her, but mostly her and the 3-drop Clarabelle are there to activate the shift line of the Clarabelle, the light on her hooves, which allows you to draw as many cards as your opponent has at the end of turn. The rest of the play line here, I'm glad Donald Duck Perfect Gentleman is back. He's been a great draw engine for this deck, as well as the Baymax shift line, which allows you to shift on 3, assuming that you ramp with Tipo on 2. And if you shift him on your 1-drop, provided it's still there, you can sing Under the Sea as early as turn 3. It's one of my favorite broken combos in this game. Not that you get the most value singing Under the Sea on turn 3, but the fact that you can board wipe them that early just amuses me. Don't do it to me, though, please. Moving on to the rest of that, we have John Silver, another reprint from set 1, who is finally seeing his day. I've always liked that card. In set 1, I tried to make him work quite a bit. And then, of course, another former villain of the week in Basil, the undercover detective, who has 2 abilities on him when he is played. You can return a chosen character back to the player's hand, or interfere whenever this character quests chosen opponent discards a card at random. So double whammy from that Basil, and then more control with Hades on 7. The rest of the deck is all actions: develop to look through your deck, sail to ramp, the vision of the future. Just look at 5 cards and take one. And then one card that's been popping up quite a bit in these decks now is stopped chaos in its tracks. It's a sing together 8 and return up to 2 chosen characters with 3 strength or less to each of their players' hands, or each to each. Wow, I can't read a card today, and I'm not going to edit this. Return up to 2 chosen characters with 3 strength or less each to their player's hand. So it is worded a little funny to me, but I saw this at the beginning of the set championship season when Joe, my opponent at Impact, was playing this and trying to get to that, and he was running Bend to My Will, so that gets your Dumbos and whatever else back into the hand before the Bend to My Will comes, because this deck gets so much ink, especially in the match against Blurple, where all the removal just comes from Hades and Into the Unknown, into their Inkwell. You'll see this kind of deck have 15, ink at some point, and just be able to hard cast, these things and do more at the same time. So ultimately, Jon got it done. I don't have the matchups, but I know it was a field, I think, of 16 at Manticore, and really happy to see him at the top of the food chain. So congratulations to you, Jon. All right, moving all the way out to Jefferson City, we got Joshua getting it done at Mimics, another Amethyst Steel deck here with a flexible 1 slot. We took out the Diablo. We, of course, have the 4 of Hook in this deck, as well as 3 Happy, Evasive on turn 2/1, and a card I have not seen, I think, in any version of this deck so far, the Mulan Disguised Soldier. A little bit of extra filter if you happen to alter poorly. You got this back up to draw and discard on play with this 1-drop Mulan, and she swings for 2. Of course, she has a 1 body, so she gets banished pretty quickly, but she swings back pretty hard and can trade favorably in some situations. We are back down to 2 Madam Mim Tiny Adversaries. They chose the flavor of Jafar Royal Vizier on the turn 2, Evasive on turn 3/2. The exact same card as the Smee. Is it Steadfast Mate? I believe that is the current spot, or the current clone of the card that could be there instead. Cobras, White Roses. We have the Aspiring Ruler Jafar, of course, on 3 to give a little bit of a challenger boost when played, and he hits back for 3. 3/2, quest for 2, so you got to deal with him. And as I said previously, Amethyst Steel, you're running into a lot of Blurple matchups. You're getting a lot of extra ink. You can just play all of these low-to-the-ground cards as you replenish your hand with Docks and Dumbos and Yzmas. So, yeah, pretty standard. I do like the addition of Mulan. I think she fits in there nicely. You always get to filter with that, and you're missing the draw from the bird, but I think they both do their job. The bird you might get a little bit more from, but who am I? I don't play this deck, but I see it all the time, and this is a set championship winning deck. So congratulations to Joshua. One quick shout out to Knive from Knives Nerd Corner for making me aware of the store. Maybe one of these days I can make my way down there and play with you, buddy. I know you've come down to St. Louis a few times, or come up to St. Louis and played with us, so I'd like to return the favor. Sorry I couldn't make it happen this week, but it allowed Joshua to get the win because, you can't beat the mayor. Just joking. I'm joking. I've lost all of my set championships this set. So congratulations again to Joshua. Thank you, Nye, for making me aware, and we will see you guys again. All right, making our way back to St. Louis proper at the Wizards Wagon. Grapes Kristen from ROV got it done. You guessed it, with Amethyst Steel, and probably the spiciest of the Amethyst Steel that you're going to see in this video. We are back at the standard one drops that we're well aware of with the Bird and Rafiki. She did take the flavor of the Mr. Smee over the Jafar that we talked about. It is Steadfast Mate. It's 3-2 evasive on turn. The exact same card, different flavor, but the spicier cards that we have not seen yet in this video. At the 3-drop, we have the Lilo Best Explorer Ever. Whenever you play this character, your other characters gain Challenger +2 this turn. So we saw Yelana, we saw Jafar a few times. Lilo comes out and says, how about we just give everybody Challenger +2, not just the one character that those other two cards target. This deck does not get the bonus of her bonus effect of whenever she quests, alien characters get Challenger +2 and can challenge rated characters, because there are no aliens in this deck, but you're really just playing it for that favorable challenge boost because of Calhoun or whoever on here. This is a challenge heavy deck, getting that lore from challenging with Calhoun and just controlling the board that way. But I think it's a great card. I played her in my blue steel this weekend and had some great combos with her, but we're not talking about me. The other spicy cards in this deck, this set championship winning deck, is Tinkerbell Giant Fairy, who we have not talked about all set. Kristen decided to throw 2 of them in there today and got it done. Tinkerbell Giant Fairy is a 4/5 quest for 2, and she has 2 abilities, Rock the Boat. When you play this character, deal 1 damage to each opposing character. Of course, that doesn't get by resist, but it does get through ward because it is just dealing damage. You're not choosing any characters, but also one of her greatest effects is that during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may just deal 2 damage to another chosen opposing character. So she comes out, big giant fairy, and taking care of the board that way. Just a big bunch of splash damage there. And moving on to the actions. Of course, we have the Fire the Cannons and Strength of a Raging Fire. But as we talked about last week, the Magical Maneuvers allows you to open up a spot with Doc. Doc has 3. In here, it's usually a 4 because you want that draw. But if you have Magical Maneuvers, 2 of those basically equal a Doc if you have him on board, because you can play him, get your 2 cards, play your magical maneuvers, pull your Doc back, or if he's dry, quest him, pull him back with the magical maneuvers, play him again, draw 2 cards. Just a really slick combo. It is inkable. It opens up some uninkable slots in your deck, as well as they never come back. It is a 3-cost inkable action that up to 2 chosen characters can't ready at the start of their next turn, and a little extra draw. She's only running 1 of here, so it's just a little spice card. But I imagine I've seen her trying it out throughout the entire set, and it does come into play and help, slow things down for the opponent. So overall, I know this win means a lot to her. She's been trying really hard throughout the entire set, practicing and spicing the deck up as much as she can. But Amethyst Steel, we're going to talk about it for probably the weeks to come. She got it done with this version. Congratulations to you. You deserve it so much, and I'm so happy to see that you got that win today. All right, moving all the way out to St. Charles, Missouri, at Endless Comics and Games. We have Tom getting it done with Emerald, Amber, Chroma Dogs, Sea Dogs, Chroma Sea Dogs. I don't know how you want to say it. He's running both Under the Sea and Emerald Chromacon to wreck your entire day. This is a very fast moving deck, combo deck even, where he's building his board, sometimes not questing, getting as many people out there as possible to get out this 7-cost tramp for each character you have in play. You pay 1 less ink to play this character, And whenever you play this character, you may draw a card for each other character you have in play, then choose and discard that many cards. It is the ultimate hand filter. He finds what he needs when he does that. It is a 2/6, so it sticks around. He has the lady shift here, Miss Park Avenue. That is, whenever you play this character, you may return up to 2 character cards with 2 cost or less from your discard to your hand. She's a 4/4 that quests for 2. These cards come out quicker than they should, and they activate the Under the Sea earlier than you're expecting. And anything that you have on the board that is 2 strength or less is bound to go to the bottom of your deck. It is a fun deck to pilot. I've played it a little bit. I have a lot of fun with it. I've gotten my butt kicked by it on my Blurple. It's such a fun combination of colors and cards that I just happy to see it finding success in Disney Lorcana here. If you want to run down the play lines real quickly, I mean, it's just fast, right? You got your daisies, quest for 2, 1/4 on 1. Very, very hard to deal with at all for a couple of turns. She's almost guaranteed that 2 lore every turn. And whenever she turns sideways to go on that quest, the opponent checks the top of their deck. If it's anything other than a character card, that's going to the bottom. So, like, hope that you don't have an action heavy deck. The lady, the 1 cost lady that is decisive dog. For every time you play a character, she gains 1 strength. Whenever she has 3 strength, she quests for 3. So it's fast and a lot to deal with. We're playing games with the Lilo, uh, the escape artist. Like, it escaped me for a second what her title was, where you can just play her out of the discard for free. This is the kind of deck that doesn't go much over 3 or 4 ink. And then playing the go-go game with the bouncing of her, just absolutely insane. So you can do that with the Chroma count. We've talked about that in the past, where just go comes out, and then if there's damage left on your board, she's going to get lore off of it, assuming you have the ink to pay for it. And the Chromacon could just trigger that go over and over again. I wish I had more reps with this to be confident with it, because it is so fun to play, and I love when it works. It doesn't always work, but when it does, it is just insanely cool, so much fun, and happy to see Tom get it done. So congratulations, Tom, on your victory at Endless. All right, moving all the way out to Farmington, Missouri for our final deck of the week at Aesop's Treasury. Villain Andy from the Rules of Villainy podcast got it done, of course, with Amethyst Steel. Congratulations to him. We will see you next week. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm joking. Got to give him grief. He did run 62 cards. Got to give him grief for that, too, for all the times he gave us trouble about running more than 60 statistically. But those 2 cards that he threw in there are the Madam Mim Elephant, which is not a card that we saw in any of the 4 other Amethyst Steel decks that we looked at today. And I know he's been talking about it, and he threw it in there, and he got it done with her in there. She is a 3/7 that quests for 1, and you have to bounce just like any other Madam Mim animal cards, I should say, because the Madam Mim Tiny Adversary, of course, doesn't involve a bounce, but you have to bounce a character back to your hand to play her or banish her instantly. Her other ability is whenever the start of your turn, you can move up to 2 damage from her to a chosen character, if you want to. I guess she has a 7 body, so she holds a lot of damage, but there are some interesting plays that you can do with her. You can protect. You can use her to get the instant lore cards back with the Giant Cobra, the White Rose, the Doc, if you want to play him again, because he's super cheap and you need to draw cards. If you want to protect something like the Yzma, you could exert her. It's a weird bounce to me. I think I don't know how Andy actually utilized the elephant, but like Yzma, for example, you can exert her, draw up to 3 cards, and then if you find an elephant there, you could bounce her uh, to protect her is the word I'm looking for there. I lost my train of thought for a second, but it's a good way to protect her so she's not taken care of the next turn. And if you want to play her again the following turn, they'll have to deal with her the hard way and not just challenge into her easily. Like when you forget to run your Hades into her when she's frozen from an Elsa. He's the only one who'll understand that reference. I'm still thinking about it 3 days later. But yeah, you could also use that elephant to bounce, the Lilo if you're planning on having a big challenge turn the next turn or something, or just if you need to pull back an Elsa to play it again and exert it sideways, or exert something to challenge into. And so there's all kinds of different scenarios where the Madam Mim Elephant works out. They were his 61st and 62nd card in this deck. Everything else in here looks like everything we've seen so far. Nothing stands out as changed. So you can tell if you've been watching this video series that by the end of these, I am running out of words, especially when you're talking about the same deck 5 times. But what I really want to hammer home with this final deck, with Andy getting it done, is I'm just so happy for him. He really wanted to win it, him and Kirsten both. And now they have that beautiful, Maleficent dragon play mat that she wanted so badly and willed into existence when she said way back in like episode 9 or whatever that she needed to have an enchanted Maleficent dragon. And here we are today getting that playmat. Andy getting it done. Congratulations to you guys. Congratulations to Andy for getting it done. And let's have that same luck in Milwaukee, my man. And speaking of DLC Milwaukee, that is 5 days away. If you are watching this at drop, it is absolutely wild. I have no idea what I'm going to play, but if this video is any indicator, I should either play Amethyst Steel or be prepared to play against Amethyst Steel because it is getting the job done in all of these set championships and seems to be the most consistent deck in Disney Lorcana. If you want to hear more about that, check out the Rules of Villainy podcast that we just recorded. Our latest episode out right now is basically talking about this deck and how good it is in our main segment. So that will be linked below, or you can find anywhere here on this channel at Rules of Villainy here on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who submitted their decks. Congratulations to you guys. We could not make this content without you. I could not make this content without you being able to support that. We want to give back and celebrate the community. That is what made us. That is what we champion here at the Rules of Villainy podcast, is just the community in general. So thank you, congratulations, and thank you to everybody else who has tuned in today and just enjoyed the video. I hope that you enjoyed the video at least. If you do like this kind of content, please hit the like, subscribe, and bell for notifications for any kind of Rules of Villainy content we have. Of course, these videos, we have the podcast proper. We have Deck Test Tuesdays on Tuesday with Andy and Kirsten. They're all so much fun. We're working on more content that I think is going to be a lot of fun. We just did a collaboration with a local here who is a Gargoyles aficionado. Whispers in the Well is just around the corner, and Gargoyles is coming into it. If you want to learn more about the 1990s animated show, check out that video. I'll have a link in the description as well. It's about an hour long and just a dive into who the characters are and see if you're into it. And you can watch all of the episodes on Disney Plus. So if that interests you, check that out. We have a lot of fun making that kind of stuff, and maybe we'll make more. I think he's already interested in making more, just like a kind of a follow-up. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, good luck in your set championships. There is one more week left. Of course, it's during the week of DLC Milwaukee. So if you are staying at home and want to check those out, good luck in those. If you are going to DLC Milwaukee, good luck. I hope to see you there. Drop by and say hi. We'll have all kinds of goodies to give you, and would just love to see the listeners and viewers and anybody who has supported us. And yeah, just I'm really excited. I have no idea what I'm going to play. Really excited, and I feel like I'm rambling now, though. But let's have some fun this weekend in Milwaukee. Good luck in everything, and until then, happy questing.